I'm Hazel, you've made it to Saturday, which makes it time to sit down and catch up on the WoW news of the week, what I've been up to, and answer some of your questions. This week, the big news in WoW was the introduction of Cloak Catch-Up and the Corruption Vendor. If you missed it somehow, Mother, down in the Heart Chamber, will now sell you corruptions that you can apply onto your gear in exchange for Echoes of Ny'alotha. You can still purchase rank 3 essences with your Echoes, so that hasn't gone anywhere. They've multiplied the drop rate by 5 as well as the essence price by 5, so that it didn't matter so much if you didn't have a stockpile of these going into it. So you can now buy corruptions. It's magical. When they first added this in, there was some fine print and loopholes and just bugs that would not allow you to corrupt an item that had been previously purified, and then there was like a flurry of hotfixes and updates to try to get that closer to being fixed. The most recent update we have says that you should now be able to corrupt a previously purified item regardless of when you purified it. So you should be safe to corrupt whatever you want, which is great news because it was already complicated enough to try to figure out which corruption to put where and how to balance the correct amount of corruption while getting your optimal ones without having certain pieces be blacklisted for a bug reason. So this is good news. It is important to know and remember that the available inventory of corruptions on Mother is going to change twice a week. So if there's something on the vendor you want, you should buy it, or save up the Echoes as quickly as you can to buy it, because they're going to change twice a week, and once it cycles off the vendor, you could be waiting quite some time for it to come back around. Do not delay buying your best corruption. You will be sad. If you're confused about how long you have left to purchase a corruption on the vendor, they will reset with the weekly reset, so Tuesday NA, Wednesday EU, and they will also reset with the minor assault flip. So I use the Wowhead Today in Azeroth tracker to figure out how long there is left on that one, or you can just remember it's the same time every week. I want to say Saturday. The less spectacular, but still very nice change that got kind of bundled along with that update was that you can now rank up your cloak with fewer horrific visions done. None of the levels require more than 2 pages now, so you can level up your cloak with 1 vision per level, or 2 if you want to take it easy and only do 1 of the relevant area per vision, and that should be fine. If you were halfway through a cloak upgrade quest and you're having difficulty figuring out what you need because it still shows you as needing 4 or 8 pages, try turning it in even if it doesn't look like you can. I have heard of that workaround working for some, and you should be able to then hopefully move on and continue leveling your cloak. Otherwise, maybe put in a support ticket, but try turning it in first. I am delighted with these changes. I think the Corruption Vendor in particular has let us have this smoother endgame progression where you can just kind of, what I'm going to do is just keep doing my assaults, keep doing my dailies, keep running horrific visions, and then between those things you get a good amount of echoes to slowly kind of kit yourself out with the best corruptions that you can wear, which should make it easier to get through any end of expansion goals like your heroic N'Zoth kill or your Keystone Master or 5 mask horrific visions, that kind of thing. A nice kind of soft nerf as the expansion winds down. On my Shadow Priest, I took a look at the vendor, and then I stressed out over whether I should buy something for a couple of days. And then I bought the haste corruption, and now I cannot decide. I'm driving myself nuts trying to figure out what to corrupt it onto, because there's just... I don't really want to corrupt an item that doesn't have perfect stats, but over the last couple of months, I've been mostly keeping gear with strong corruptions and not necessarily gear with perfect stats, because if it wasn't corrupted, before now, it wasn't any good. I don't know what I'm going to corrupt. I think I just need more gear. Back into Mythic Plus we go. This week in Shadowlands Alpha updates, we have even more exciting customizations hitting the alpha, both in the character creator as well as in the files. We've seen these amazing Blood Elf hairstyles data mined, as well as some body jewelry, and then these undead decay options got quite a bit of attention. So you have the fresh undead, and then you have the several weeks old undead, and then you have the you forgot it in your fridge undead, so that you can get just the right level of decay that you're looking for. Speaking of alpha data mining, actually, Wowhead pulled a string that seems to indicate that you may be able to transmog your shoulders separately. This is not testable in the alpha yet, so we don't know for sure if that's going to make it in, but it never occurred to me that that could be a possibility before that, and now I just want to hide one shoulder from so many shoulder sets, asymmetrical shoulder sets, but all of them. It's good stuff. We also got our first good look at Oribos, which is the new capital city. It is shared by both factions. It is extremely round and extremely symmetrical. And in my short walkthrough on Alpha, the thing that jumped out at me the most is an area that says it's going to be pretty much a weekly chest. It basically, the NPC nearby was speaking very cryptically, but it sounds like they were describing a weekly Mythic Plus chest. But also, there were lots of lines in there that kind of indicated that maybe the contents of the chest will change based on what you've done, which could just mean you get a better chest with a higher key like we have right now. Or that could mean that they're merging the PvP and Mythic Plus chest, or it could mean that there's going to be the one weekly chest, and then maybe it'll still have something in it even if you don't do those two things, and maybe you just raided, or maybe you just did world content, or we don't know what that means yet. This is all just speculation on my part, but I think it's kind of a neat idea to have a combined weekly chest that adjusts depending on what kind of activities that you did last week. I would love to be able to get some extra pet charms out of it if I did a bunch of pet battles that week. Not instead of my gear or whatever, but on top of it. That would be kind of nice. In my WoW life this week, aside from thinking far too much about what to corrupt, I did get my 5-mask full clear of Orgrimmar done, so I have my Faceless 1 title, I have my Black Serpent of N'Zoth mount, I also got lucky and got the Felsteel Annihilator to drop out of Hellfire Citadel, and then I got the Risen Mare out of a Island Expedition cache, so it's just been a fire week for mounts for me. I'm still grinding Assaults, Dailies, and Horrific Visions for Echoes, and then also, I need the Mail Muncher out of Visions, and I want the Mementos for the Wicked Swarmer, so I'm keeping busy. Oh, and then this Cloak and Corruption catch-up, I think, really lured me into setting up my PvP druid again. I think I just want to try and lump my way along to get the Vicious mount for this season, because the White Tiger's really pretty. So I am reluctantly, grudgingly leveling up my cloak and doing assaults and stuff on my PvP druid because I just want to play. Questions from this week. Steinhowell asks, do you think that a set bonus could be tied to completing a raid rather than tied to a gear slot? Incentive for raiding without the worry of a gear slot value, or perhaps trinkets could be changed in ways that allows for a 2-set bonus. People generally ignore trinket procs or bake them into cooldowns anyways. So the thing that came to mind with this question was we sort of have something similar. In Ny'alotha, you have the 2 Raw Den trinkets, the Vita charged and the Void charged bits. And I like those because they have a set bonus when equipped together that has an extra effect when inside of the raid. And I like your idea, and that's kind of how I would like to see it approached. So I like the idea of you complete the raid and you get some kind of bonus that's not necessarily tied to your gear. You could put it on a shirt or a tabard or something, or you could just have it exist. But I would like to see it only apply within the raid, so it's not something that's mandatory for everybody to have to go get. I would also then, I think that the concern that happens immediately is if you have a great bonus or just an interesting bonus that you only get access to at the end of the raid, it's going to be harder for people that have not cleared the raid yet to get into groups to do so. You already have them having a tough time getting into groups with that ahead of the curve, so I think that having any decent bonus that only comes in at the end of the raid, while it's a nice way to kind of help self-nerf the raid over time for raid groups that continue farming it, especially if it can stack, kind of like how we used to upgrade our legendary rings, was it, in Draenor? You kept leveling it up, that kind of thing. That's an interesting thought, but you have to also, maybe if you can also give it an LFR so that players without guilds can still keep up with their progression, that would be something. And then I don't know if you would want it to change your rotation too much, but cool cosmetic and flavor effects that also have some damage tie-in but only active in the raid might be kind of fun. Maybe I've thought myself into a hole here. Ashley asks, if you could spend one whole day with one of your favorite WoW lore characters, who would you choose? Thought about this one for a while, and I feel like the correct answer is Flynn, because Flynn seems like he would be a good time. I feel like every other major lore character, at least the ones that I could think of, they're very dramatic and serious because they're lore characters, and they don't seem like they would be very fun to just chill with. Whereas Flynn probably knows all the cool places to eat in Borealis, and after that, you guys are probably sneaking onto a boat that you don't belong on to go yachting on somebody else's ship. That just sounds like a great weekend. I'm just trying to imagine Jaina, sitting down for a board game or, some coffee cake or something, and while I'm sure she could eat it, it doesn't seem like it would be very much fun. Maybe I'm not giving her enough credit. We have seen a lot of brooding Jaina lately. I don't think we've seen enough of house party Jaina. Juggernaut asks, you once mentioned that you keep it clean for your streams, so I'm wondering, do you curse like a sailor off stream? Yes, I do. I have no moral hangups about adult language and your garden variety curse words, and I employ them often and sometimes creatively off camera. I just feel like, if I had an office job or a customer facing job rather in, sales or whatever, and I have had jobs like that before, you usually don't just start swearing in front of the public while you're at work. Depending on where you work, but it just feels like a good boundary for me to have, but I curse profusely in my personal time, and I'm honestly surprised that I don't slip up more often on stream. And that has been my week. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions that you'd like me to answer in one of these videos, please leave it in the comments of the most recent Saturday news, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.